So I've been in self-isolation for a little over 10 days now, and it's given me a little bit of time to reflect on my unique situation that I faced, like I'm sure a lot of people during this COVID-19 pandemic. So I was actually in India when the whole thing really hit, and my whole timeline was after doing an advanced yoga program. I was visiting some family in Bangalore, and then the lockdown hit, and my 2 week trip and that time got extended to 2 months, and I spent that time with my cousin, her brother-in-law, my aunt and uncle, my 7-year-old niece, and their dog. And I remember, like, I feel like there was like three things that I really kind of was able to grow from during this period of uncertainty, which is still pretty uncertain, but especially during this time for me, number one is like my my journey through my restlessness. So it really brought me back to a time in college where I was faced in a similar situation where I had come home for spring break and had no plans and nothing going on, and I was just going kind of insane, not being able to just be. And I saw those tendencies come back a little bit this time when I realized that my flight was canceled. I wasn't going anywhere for a good amount of time, and even though I still like went through this mind game of making up things in my head and fearing things that weren't reality. I was this time. What was different is that I was able to see that and rejig myself and rewire how I was, um, just using these tools of inner engineering. And so inner engineering is a program that I did in 2015, but I feel like the late bloomer that I am, it's taken me some time to really imbibe that. But for me, during this period of uncertainty, it's proven to be especially incredible as a support to recalibrate and rewire myself. The second thing is how my relationship with my niece evolved while incorporating these tools of inner engineering. So I'm really close with my niece Anya, and during this time I had all these big plans that I was going to teach her, or show her yoga videos and teach her music and things like that. And what ended up happening was, after the first couple of classes, I became so rigid in the way that I was. I had this idea of how everything should go that I completely like closed off to responding to her and like what works for her to have a pleasant, like joyful experience of anything that we were doing together. And it came to a point where one of the times we sat together and we were, watching the yoga video and trying to do it together, she completely closed off, and like it was very apparent that she hated it. And when I sat back and like thought about it, and even that act of, instead of kind of reacting or getting in my mind about, why this wasn't working, I kind of just kind of sat back and, kind of looked at why is it that this whole thing was so tough and so difficult. And what I really came down to was how I was. And I saw that, it's because of my kind of rigid thinking of how things should go, and how we should learn, and what we should learn at what time. That's what was making this whole experience so exhausting. So when I kind of pinpointed that, it made everything so much easier when I saw that it was me who had to adapt and mold to make this experience more beautiful. And from that point onwards, whenever we would sit together for music or doing yoga together, it was all about her. I just put myself kind of tried to distance my own kind of wants and my expectations, and instead focused on where she was at, and making sure it was like a pleasant experience, or at least I was in a joyful place while doing the class, instead of coming off so closed off from the beginning, if that makes sense. And it really made a difference in how it went from that point on. And the third thing is my journey with being a better listener, and being able to take feedback and conflict or disagreement in with much more like awareness and distance, if that makes sense. So of course, when, like, I'm sure a lot of people, when you're in a closed space with family members, of course there will be like disagreements or conflicts or little things that may come up, or even like feedback, that you may get, because it's, I may not be doing everything the best way that there is. So, but what I really felt like I became aware of is how much I'd become kind of distant from, or not so focused on what people will think of me, and rather just listening to what they're saying. And even though there were situations where I feel like I could have said something a better way, or not reacted to something, I still felt like I was in a much better place to take the consequences and then see things for what they are, and then go from there. So that happened a few times too, where there's definitely some things I could have done better, and it was pointed out to me. And instead of getting into a mind game about it, I saw how to work from there and move on from there. And I think that has been so incredible. Like it's these simple daily things, right? Like this whole situation, I feel like for me has, I'm lucky enough that it hasn't, I'm privileged and lucky that it hasn't affected me as of yet like in a medical way or any other way. But for me, it's this lockdown situation has really opened up my awareness with my relationships, and how I listen, and how I am. And for that, all I have to thank for is inner engineering, this program that I did 5 years ago online on my computer. And it really, for me, was the trigger point or the spark that made me question and go like, there can be a different way to do things. And it, even though its source is from yoga and meditation, it kind of broke the whole definition of yoga and meditation for me, and it continues to do that, especially right now, because my whole idea of yoga or meditation was like a exclusive activity or a posture that you got into. But now, after inner engineering online, it's become a part of everything that I do, and it is a constant awareness that I have to keep to truly experience the class, and I still continue to experience it. So yeah, that's been my experience so far, and I just wanted to share this. If anyone can relate or is looking for a kind of a solution or a support system right now, when we may not have all the other things that we may generally do to kind of preoccupy or settle our mind. I feel like if it weren't for the lockdown, if you weren't feeling down or you were getting into disagreement, you would just go out and do something else. But now that option is not there. So I think it's especially important to invest in a solution that can fix this and strengthen what's going on in here. And that's why I thought I'd share a little bit about it. It is available for free right now to all healthcare providers, as a support for all the incredible things that they are doing. And I think it's a small but hopefully very impactful contribution that I hope it can make. And it's also half off for everyone else. So yeah, I just wanted to share that, and thanks for making it so far in my ramble sesh. And I know a lot of people, I've been like completely off kind of social media for a little bit, and haven't spoken to a lot of my peeps. But I hope this was something useful.